Everything is difficult. Help me help you. Girl, what you trying to do? Cause I don't got a clue.
Hey babes, and welcome back to the how-to series. For those that are new to my channel, the how-to series is to explain how I play these gods in my own matches. Everyone has their own way on how they play certain gods and stuff. So this is basically just like a little crutch for you guys to have you guys see some advice and maybe see some other things you could possibly do. To start off with, my build is more of a damage hell build. This is basically the build I build the whole game. Alright, this down here is what I basically always build. The only time I change her build is if I'm having problems with, like, our team is dying a lot and I need to be more support, so then I'll buy, you know, Rod of Asclepius, Lotus Crown. I'll basically go support on her. But for the most part, this build works for me like 90% of the time. And the great thing about Hell is when I get in a sticky situation, like let's say I'm going at this Odin and I slowed him, you know, did all my stuff, but I'm pretty low on health and I get CC'd. His whole team collapses on me. I could even tower dive with this build when I get high enough level. I can Fury, heal, then look for my nearest ally and throw that at him and run. So, Hell is super fun to play. I would say if you guys like gods that switch stances, Hell is, in my opinion, probably one of the funnest. Just because, like, it's kind of like if you guys play Overwatch, it's like Mercy in a way. You know, you got the support Mercy and battle Mercy. And it feels nice to be able to support and heal your team, but also get out there and, you know, kick some ass too. So, to start off with, a lot of people, I've had people getting mad at me because I do really well with Hell. A lot of my games with her, I've gone like 20-5 with her, and I've had people get mad at me and they're like, yeah, Hell hard to play. Okay, I mean, she is pretty easy. Like, her one is still kind of a skill shot, but I mean, you can just run around, heal people, throw your abilities around and hit someone with it. I honestly don't know how many triple kills I've gotten because I was soloing one person and my 3 came up and I didn't realize my teammates were fighting someone around me and I popped my 3 and I got a triple kill. But the thing that makes Hell hard is you have to have map awareness with her. You have to understand when to use her abilities and when to not. So that's what makes the difference between a Hell player and a good Hell player. Now, to start off with, let's say, alright, this Odin is my teammate. This Odin's my teammate, this one's my enemy. And me and Odin, like, we're just going at the enemy Odin, you know, throwing all my abilities at him, slowing him for him, doing all that good stuff. But he is beating the crap out of my ally too. If I'm not paying attention and I'm tunnel visioning, and I'm just too busy with the Odin trying to damage him, but I'm not paying attention to my ally will probably die. So that's where it comes in handy. I always look at the left of my screen where all of the player icons are at. And especially when I'm in battle with someone and I can't necessarily see them, I watch up there to watch how fast their health is dropping to know if I should fall back and heal or if I can keep going. So let's start off with the basics. Surprisingly, a lot of people do not know what her 2 does. I don't know why I said do. But I mean, I have to admit, even when I was a noob, I had no clue what it did because I was too lazy to read this. Like, I am not sure how many of you guys really want to sit down and just read through all of this. So you just kind of, like, you know, throw stuff around like, okay, that heals and it does damage. Okay, that gives me a speed boost and heal, you know, etc. But your 2, you're like, I have no clue what this does. Like, it makes me a little gold, and most people don't put 2 and 2 together, but that's what it looks like when you beads. Her 2 is a beads. And her 2 is absolutely amazing. The great thing about her 2 is if you're in a full party and your team has great communication, and let's say there's an Ares on the enemy team, when Ares ults you guys and he could be like, hey, group up on me, and they all group up, I mean, look how big it is. You just pop the Fury at the right time, and you guys are immune from the Ares ult, and it's a wasted ult. And you'll basically have that every time. Like, it's a perfect counter for an Ares ult. And same with a lot of other ultimates, like if Chalk ults, you know, and like you guys need to have your abilities up. Just be like, group up on my position and drop it. But even if people don't group up on your position, if you can, try to get to an ally next to you to purify them. But like, let's say it's like completely impossible. Like, let's say I'm stuck in an Artemis route here, and they're getting pulled by an Ares ult, I'm getting pulled by an Ares ult. But let's say I can't reach this Odin and me. Like, I just can't. Just go ahead and pure yourself. They'll get pulled, but you want to make sure you stay alive since you're the healer, and you should do enough for healing that as soon as Ares ults, you could run into your team, do the group heal, and throw your orb at whoever needs the healing the most, or whoever's being focused. And with my build, you can also tower dive as well, which I have done a lot. So basically, I run in, like, okay, Ra's like really squishy. I'm like, okay, I can, you know, destroy him really fast. So I'll slow him, I'll run and throw my wand, get close, do my 2. And then let's say I'm taking a lot of tower shots, okay? Like, I'm about to die, Ra managed to slow me, his team came and collapsed on me, and I'm not going to be able to kill him. So this is where how it comes in handy. If I'm being rooted, pop the 2, pop the 3, and then throw your 1 at the nearest friendly god near you. And you'll make it out 90% of the time. And I've tower dived with her a lot. It's honestly pretty easy to tower dive with her. So like I said with Hell, you have to have a lot of map awareness and knowing when you should heal. The number 1 rule I would say with her is always keep one of your healing abilities up, unless you need to otherwise. So I used her 3 to get around and increase my movement so I can hurry up and get in and heal someone or run away. But I always keep my 1 up until my 3 I would say is about at 2 seconds, and then I'll heal, you know, use my 1. So you never want to be this person. I'll do it over here. That's not paying attention. Like, let's say Odin's like about half health, but he's losing health pretty fast. You heal to run in, you switch stance, you attack, you go back, and you waste all your healing items, and you didn't heal Odin at all. Odin is now screwed because you were being selfish and you were not paying attention. You don't want to be the hell that's selfish and doesn't pay attention and causes everyone to lose the game. Because the sad thing is, just because you're a support and you're a healer, a lot of people will rely on you. Even though you'll say you're like a terrible healer, people will rely on you. I've had people, when I've played Hell or Aphrodite, and I gave them, they were about to die, I gave them enough health to get out of the fight and make sure they would survive. And after I healed them, they would turn around and go right back in the fight. And that's like literally, like, I don't know what it is with people, but people think when they have a healer, they can be twice as ballsy as they normally are, which really is not the case. The healer is just a nice little advantage you can have, but it's not going to be as helpful as a lot of people think. And especially when the other team buys anti-heal and stuff. So make sure at least one of her healing abilities is up, and you never want to use her Puri unless you absolutely need to. Like, let's say this Ra just slowed me and I'm like super slow, but no one's like initiating on it, you know, no one's capitalizing on it or anything. Like, I'm fine. I don't need to pop it. Like, that's a waste, because when you do that, you might have someone that's pretty low, but then because you just popped your Piri because you know you just had that like you know 0.5 reduced slow or whatever it is. I know it's not that much, but it's ridiculous, like not that terrible of a slow. And they were getting chain CC'd, and you wasted it. Like they could have used that more than you. So it's really about with Hell, it's thinking about when you should put yourself before others and also when you should put others before you. So you need to think like, alright, if I use these abilities on me, will this negatively affect my team? If it does, don't do it. If it doesn't, go ahead. And then also, you need to think, if I use these abilities on this teammate, is this going to help our team or is this just going to be a waste and possibly put me in danger? Then you need to think about that too. For example, I was playing a siege earlier and this Neith, she was doing good split pushing, but she was getting in a lot of bad situations. And I was playing Aphrodite, and after we were 5 minutes in and she's already died 4 times, that's when I was like, alright, I am not going to go out of my way to help her. And I would say people like that are feeding, even though you've been helping them throughout the game, but they just don't get it, don't bother your time with it. You want to stay around the people that are actually helping your team and making sure they don't die so they can carry for the people that are not helping the team. So another thing with Hell is I see a lot of people do this. For example, the red buff in Clash. It's very, very, very contested. And Hell has a high chance of being able to steal it with her 1. And a lot of mistakes I see Hells do is when they're, you know, their team's attacking a red buff. I'm not pretending like I'm not doing that much damage, but when the team's attacking a red buff, you know, before it's low, like she's throwing stuff at it to try to steal it or try to, you know, help do the damage for it. But Hell has a high chance of being able to steal it. So like the other team, like let's say they get it that low, if I can wait that long and throw that at it, it's a free red buff. It's just all about the timing. Another thing I would like to discuss too, which is kind of off topic with Hell, but overall this is really helpful. I didn't know this as a noob. Actually my buddy the other day, he didn't know this either until I told him, you know, not to do that. If you're in danger and you're trying to get away, do not hop away. It does not help at all. It actually decreases your movement speed a little bit with certain gods. So you're better off just running away and trying to juke. Because there's no point of jumping anyways. There's nothing in Smite, like no god abilities that you can just like jump and avoid. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So Hell, she's very team oriented. The difference between a good Hell or a Hell and a, like an amazing Hell is knowing how to support your team, knowing where you should be, what you should do, and how you should do it. And knowing when you should put yourself before your teammates, when you should put your teammates before you, and knowing when to use your abilities and when to not. If you can manage to do all of that, you will be a fine Hell player. But anyways, that is it for today's video. If you have any questions that I might have left out, it's pretty late, so it's possible. Go ahead and leave them in the comments below. There's actually one thing I need to add as well. With all healers I play, I always start off with meditation because I don't know how many times I've been in that situation where my ADC carry was about to die and I wasn't paying attention to my mana and I didn't have the mana to heal them. But I would have healed, if I was able to heal them and stuff, I would have saved their life. So that's it for today's video on how to Hell. Like I said, got any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will see you babes later.